A listener texted the garden hotline and was struggling growing tomatillos. A tomatillo is a small green spherical fruit that looks like a small tomato covered by a paper husk. They're most often associated with salsa verde. Here is the text.
Hi, I am new to growing plants from seeds. This year I tried purple tomatillos, but gave up because the plants grew so slowly. I did end up with one plant, which now has flowers, but I understand they need 2 in order to get fruit. I cannot find another plant anywhere. Do you have a suggestion? Thank you.
Yeah.
Come to Bloomers. We have 3 plants left.
Right.
3. They're a little overgrown, but they may even be bigger than the one you have.
Yeah, probably.
But again, why do you need 2? I'll tell you what. It takes 2 to tango, right?
Tango. Yep.
Yeah. And it takes 2 to cross-pollinate and for them to have fruit.
That's right.
They are not a tomato. They are not a pepper. They are actually from deadly nightshade is actually a weed. It's a vining weed. And the flowers look the same, but they're a little bit purple. But I don't know if, Aaron, if you're looking on YouTube, where this has some flowers on it, and that you can cross-pollinate these on your own. It's not necessary if, you have 2 plants that the insects will do it, so the bees will come buzzing around, and they'll go into one flower, and then they'll go into the other plant's flower, and they'll cross-pollinate that way. Now, it's not that there are boys and girls. It's just that they have to cross with another plant to be fertilized, if you will. It's a burden that's in the bees, Julio.
That's right. So they're made to
So,
produce.
Here's some ways that you can do it. You can do a small paintbrush, like an artist paintbrush, where you go and you swirl around inside the flower of the one plant and cross it to the next plant. And that you then take that paintbrush back and you put it into the original plant. And you just go back and forth to each flower. And new flowers. So you can't forget about the new flowers. You can't just do it necessarily once, or else you'll only have those fertilized. So you can do this yourself as well. Especially if you're new, like where our texter had said that they're new, I would do it and do the pollination yourself. You can, get your bee on. Just go buzz, and just go from each flower to flower to flower to flower. And then you're doing the bees worked, but at least you'll be sure that you'll have them crossed.
Wow.
Now,
Amazing, huh?
Yeah.
It's going to be like the gardening's Bob Ross, right?
Yeah. It's not bad. Well, in a way.
Yeah.
Hey, I was talking to, I guess, my son-in-law. I was saying, I'm an artist. Where my palette of paint are the plants. Okay. Julio, I think you're the same way. Aaron?
Yeah, somewhat.
You're artist in training.
I'm a
for
different type of, I guess, perception of my art. I'm starting to get more visual, but I'm a musician, so
that's it.
Using that voice.
That's it.
Awesome.
Julio, we were talking about salsa verde.
Salsa verde,
yeah.
Sure.
But what else? You were saying that there are other things you can use it for. Is that?
Well,
do you know of anything else besides that?
Oh, you can use it in a lot of tamales and tacos and things like that. You can add it to it.
And it's not hot like a pepper, but it has a tang.
Yeah, a little tang, but you can add the heat to it to make it hot. You can add jalapenos to it.
Okay, to
make it heat,
and then it will
little heat.
But on its own, it's not like it's not super hot.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, because I know that salsa verde, I don't like a lot of really hot ghost peppers. Let me show you how hot it is. I just honestly I think it's stupid. But where this is, I can take. It's got some heat, and I like the fact that there are some things where you have that heat where it comes on slow, or it has an afterburn kind of thing. But again, it's an interesting plant, and also I'm going to stop placing them by the tomatoes. We do this all the time. It's because it looks like a tomato, and this pisses me off because celery looks like, parsley. Let's put it next to the parsley. We stopped doing that a couple of years ago. We still are doing celery and cilantro because they look alike. But anyway, with this, we'll make it a separate category.
Right.
It has been used for years. Like you said, that Vicenta, if you're listening, that Vicenta used to use it all the time.
Yeah.
Sandy said that she uses it a lot.
All the time. It's a staple for them.
Yeah. Yep. And it goes all the way back to pre-Columbian era in Mexico. So this is something that's not around. It's not like, let's discover this deadly nightshade plant. No,
for us it's kind of new because we don't use it that much.
No, and it's like, where's the husk? When do you know when to harvest it?
Yeah.
That's the challenge. You harvest it when that husk is papery and it almost is at the point where it splits,
right.
and then you harvest it. Yeah. But you need 2 plants because they need to cross-pollinate for fruit production. And to our texter that you may get by some off chance fruit. You may, but it's not likely. But again, it's who knows? Maybe your neighbor has some.
Yeah,
who knows?
Yeah.
Sometimes there quirky things happen in nature. So like next year, or take the trip down to Bloomers because we've got it. There's only 3 left, and somebody's going to be disappointed because there may be just 1 left. But again, they are pretty large, and they are at the point where it's
kind of viney.
Where we're not even sure at Bloomers quality wise, they're just on the verge of not being saleable any longer. Yeah. But again, I'm happy to see that we had them.
Yeah, somebody called about it, which is amazing. Yeah.
Well, it is, and this is not anything you've grown, right?
No, I don't.
Have you ever used them in cooking?
No.
No?
It's a Mexican thing,
Right, and you're Cuban.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people make that mistake. Where it's like, they're the same.
Yeah.
It's like, no, they're both Spanish, but not
different culture.
Different cultures, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
They eat differently than we do.
It's interesting that they are perennial.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And they are perennial, but you treat them as an annual. Yeah. I'm not sure that you'd get the same results from the following year. So just grow them as an annual.
Yeah, they come in every year.
If you want to give it a shot where you leave it in the ground and see what happens, it's probably going to sprout from the root system and come up that way. But again, I think you should just plant them every year and do more. And like our texter found out that they went and they did, they planted by seed.
By seeds, yeah.
And they weren't successful. They only had 1 plant that survived, and where they only had 1 plant left. So when you plant them, don't plant 2, just in case 1 dies.
That's right.
Who knows? Plant 4, something like that, where that you can, if you end up having 50% loss, you still have 2 plants. So plant more than just 2. Plant at least 4. And then your success for cross-pollination is almost assured. Yeah, they do not think they're tomatoes. They are not tomatoes. They look a lot like tomatoes, but they are not tomatoes. You need to treat them a little bit differently. As far as water goes, you let them to dry out. In between, it's not a very difficult plant to grow. So give it a try.
Yeah.
Give it a try.
Great.